And welcome to another Training Thursday. How are you all going today? So today I wanted to talk to you guys in this weird and wacky time that we have. I wanted to discuss a question that I've been asked a couple of times, especially over the past couple of weeks, as I've been letting you all know about my new course. And it's one of the things that has, I don't know, it's that time that we are living through, this season that we are living through at the moment, that it can really feel like there isn't a day of the week, like, oh, it's all of a sudden it's Training Thursday. That's how we know the days of the week, because we're watching some random thing on the internet, not actually because we are living through the days as we used to. So it's really easy to get lost. It's really easy to feel directionless. It's really easy to feel like our purpose has shifted and changed. And it might be a time of reflection for you at the moment. And you might be reflecting on, are you truly living your life on purpose and the purpose that you were here for before? Now, I'm just going to check. The notifications weren't working before last time. So if you're joining us, say hello so that I can know that you are listening. And just make sure that we're up and running so that everybody else, okay, cool. We are there. Beautiful. All right. So when it comes to being on purpose, the thing that we want to be making sure of, hey, Catherine, hey, anybody else who's watching, is that it's really easy to feel lost. And when I've been flying helicopters before, the thing about purpose is that it leaves clues. And when you fly helicopters, the same thing happens. There are clues when you feel a little bit lost. You can go back. First off, you go back to where you came from. You go back to the most recent waypoint that you can remember feeling confident and feeling aware of what was going on. So for you, when was your most recent waypoint as to when you were feeling most confident? Was there a time where you felt more you than you had in a long time? I know, Catherine, you've been over in India. There's been opportunities that we had prior to this time where we might have felt really confident and secure in who we were being in that moment. Now, it might not have to do with business. It might have to do with something else. But in those times where you feel most confident, it's like going to a spot back where you have clarity and certainty. And the thing that we don't have right now is clarity and certainty. We don't even know what's going to happen with, level 1, level 3, lockdown, not lockdown, who can work, who can't work, depending on where you are. Like, the certainty just isn't there the way it has been. And the thing about that is that we have the opportunity to reflect to a time where we did have certainty. And what I've been doing, and what I highly suggest and invite you guys to do, is go back into some of your journals, maybe some of your notes, some of the things where you felt confident enough that you went and invested time and energy on something to remind you about where you were at some point in time. And I've been going through some of my journals, and there's some incredible wisdom that comes out of you when you journal writing, when you're note taking. There's things that resonate for you enough that your whole neural pathways engage in the whole concept of writing it down so that you can remember it for a later point. Now, this is your later point, and you're going to start to see, especially if you've got old notes and other bits and pieces, and if your office is anything like mine, you might have, bookshelves that are full of notes from past experiences. And it might be time to, declutter them and have a look and go through that last waypoint where you remembered what you were about, something that sparked your interest, something that you spent time, energy, effort on. And when we go back, we have this opportunity for that certainty and clarity. And then we can start to pick up little hints along the way. And the same thing happens in a helicopter. We go back to the waypoint, we check what's about, we check what's happening, and then we pick the direction from that point. Now, the thing about your direction is it can change by 1 degree here in a helicopter, and yet only an hour later, you could be kilometers in the other direction over the top of an entirely different city even, or township, and you might be completely off track. And that's might be how some of you feel at the moment. You might be a little bit off track with what you've been creating in your business. You might be off track with the way that you've been engaging with your clients or potential clients. Might be feeling a bit off track with the type of niche that you wanted to serve before, and you might be thinking about serving somebody else. Or you might be thinking about jumping ship in its entirety. I've heard a lot of that at the moment as well. But my invitation to you is to first go back to a waypoint where you had certainty. Then pick a spot while you're embracing that feeling of certainty, of who you are, that inspiration, that moment that reminds you of your preferences, reminds you of your values, reminds you of how you define yourself. And then start to look around for clues as to where other things would be. And this is what happens in a helicopter. We go to this one spot, we circle around it once or twice, we notice where we are, we pick, yep, I remember this. This is a certainty. And then we look on the horizon. We look to the future, a future that's not quite there yet. You know, the horizon can be really deceptive. And the same thing that happens in life. What's happening in the future right now can be very deceptive and can change the closer you get to it. But you have to pick a point off in the future and head towards it, because then something will evolve. You'll start to notice other things that make you a little bit more certain, and they're a bit like following breadcrumbs. There's a little conversation that'll happen on the side. There's a little, podcast or piece of research or person that comes into your perspective, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm on the right track. Oh, that might be me off to a slightly different track. And then you start to, instead of looking through the lens of fear, instead of looking through the lens of uncertainty, you start to look through the lens of confidence. And by doing that, you're going to start to notice the opportunities that are around. And when we're thinking about the opportunities that are around, then more opportunities start to show themselves. More townships start to show themselves when you're up in a helicopter. And you're like, okay, out of these 3, what's going to happen? And that's what happened to a lot of my mentees recently. They've gotten into a really dark place and not quite sure what's going on, what they want to do, how they want to contribute to the whole profession, if they want to completely jump out. But when we go back to the real core of why and the remembering of who you are, do a little bit of a circle, check in with data, with actual things. You know, these are my journals that I've been checking in with. I found things from like 2016 when I was first starting scoping out what I really wanted to do and really wanted to expand and see what was happening. And then I started to notice, like, for the past 6 years, I had been mentoring on the side of my naturopathic practice. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it wasn't until I looked back, and a bit like pulling an arrow, you pull back to leap forwards. And this is the thing with you guys at the moment, we have this opportunity and this time to pull back a little. And then when the time is right, to leap forwards, and the arrow will shoot further than we could imagine. Same thing in a helicopter. Pull back, check what's in there, and then start to look on the horizon for what's forward, and then start to see where you're aiming, and then other things will start to come into your periphery. Serendipity, conversations, other little tidbits of, oh, that's a little nugget. Oh, here's another little gold nugget to keep me on track. Here's some questions that I could answer. Here's some other things that have sparked my interest. And then all of a sudden you're over a township, in a helicopter anyway. You're over a township trying to decide, is this the township I was actually aiming for? And the thing about finding your purpose is you don't know when you're there if that's the thing. Many people think that purpose hits you like a lightning bolt. This is my niche and this is who I'm helping forever. And in all honesty, it's very rare for me to find people that it's hit them like a lightning bolt. They're there wondering, even when it's seemingly a lightning bolt moment and you're seemingly noticing everything over the top of this township that looks exactly how it's supposed to, whether or not this is your purpose. And it's times like those that you have to check back in again with that certainty of who you really, really feel inside that you are. And those moments of reflection, of those times when you were truly, truly you, and go with the vibration or the energy or however you want to describe it, and try and scope that out and find that moment rather than the thing that you think you should be doing. Now's a really great time to be noticing and pulling back, to reflect, to find the certainty of who you truly are, and then to move forward with that as your compass, your internal compass, rather than all the things that are seemingly trying to get your attention outside at the moment. So hopefully this has been helpful to you or somebody else. And if it has, please share it, tag them. And it's a really crazy time that we're living in. And I want to remind you that you have purpose right now. You matter. And everything that you're doing is exactly what you need to be doing. Everything that you're being and exploring, either internally or externally, or is exactly as it needs to be right now as well. And be generous and be gentle with yourself. These times won't last forever. And I feel like I've been I'm a fast starter. So I feel like I'm ahead of the game a little bit sometimes. And it feels like this will end quicker than we think for me right now. And I don't want anyone to miss the opportunity to reflect, to take stock, to evolve, and not just rush back to the thing that you think was the old normal, because the old normal wasn't getting you the results that you wanted in the first place. So take time, reflect, and find that certainty within you. I'm really looking forward to seeing how our whole profession evolves right now, and you and your purposeful nature of being part of our profession, how that evolves for you as well. All right. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll catch you next week for Training Thursday. See ya.